Chair will now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. O'Rourke, for 3 minutes.
Thank you. I realize the sequester forces some short-term decisions that are very painful. No one likes the sequester. Everyone agrees that it's a very blunt, perhaps ineffective way to deal with budget concerns. But does it also provide an opportunity perhaps to rethink some larger long-term projects that you're currently invested in? And the question comes from concerns that many of us have and many of my constituents have about the Secure Border Initiative and the virtual fence boondoggle from the last decade and the billions of dollars spent and perhaps wasted on that project. Instead of, I think personally I'd like to see us review projects like that before we cut personnel, overtime, diminish morale, and imperil, the economic future of the men and women who are working in these agencies. So, are there any plans or programs currently under review that are in that same category as SBI?
Well, we have, I like to think we're over the SBI. We've rethought that. Mistakes were made, as you said. And we've got the Arizona plan rolling out. We've got pieces of that implemented where we continue to move forward. Very confident that on the integrated fixed towers, that we're in a good place. We should see some movement here from the standpoint of testing systems and that in a not so distant future. So I think from the standpoint of the technology piece and when we look at this whole issue of what do we need down the southwest border, it's really that technology piece that we need, that level of sophistication from technology. I think, though, it may be perhaps, Congressman, in a little different direction, is it does give you, sequestration does give you a forcing function to sit down and really look at your budget, okay? And I like to think in CBP that we consistently do that. I could sit here for a long time and talk about the efficiencies and the hundreds of millions of dollars that we've returned to the government by making changes just recently, elimination of the I-94, air passengers coming in and eliminate $16 million a year in cost. But I think we have to look at, what's next here. So from my standpoint, we saw sequestration coming. We looked at opportunities. We put hiring pauses on the mission support side. Now today we sit on 523 vacancies. We have to be concerned with that because some of these functions have to get done. You want to make sure you don't put men and women in uniform in those. So we're balancing that. But I think some of the bigger things that really kind of is on your radar screen, but a sequestration really forces you to perhaps look at the timeline more aggressively is this whole issue of rent, for example, is I think a good example in CBP. I'm told that we pay about $600 million a year in rent. When you look at telework, when you look at what they call hoteling, where you really don't need everybody at work. The Ronald Reagan building, for example, we pay $40 million a year in rent there. I bet you at any one time we probably don't have 30% of the people that are assigned there in today. They're on vacation, they're on travel, they're doing other things. So I think those opportunities, and when you have a sequester, as painful as it is, and none of us like it, it does force you to look at those types of opportunities, and that's what we're doing.
I appreciate the level of scrutiny then that you're putting these longer-term non-personnel commitments under. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Gentlemen, time's expired.